When night falls over New York, the streets are no longer just streets, they carry whispers. Some corners are alive with neon lights, the clatter of plates, laughter, and music. But step inside certain restaurants after midnight, and the lights flicker. Chairs move slightly as if brushed by invisible hands. Menus open themselves. Footsteps echo in empty kitchens. Some diners swear they felt someone sit beside them, tasting their food, breathing cold air onto their neck. And if you look too closely into the mirror behind the bar, a face stares back that is not yours. Tonight, we walk through the doors of the 20 most haunted restaurants in New York, places where the past never left, and the dead dine silently alongside the living. Hello, dear listener. I am so glad you are here tonight, prepared to wander into the shadows of New York's culinary past. I hope you are safe, warm, perhaps alone with headphones on, because tonight we explore restaurants where the dead still take orders, where laughter echoes from the other side, and where kitchens carry secrets soaked into the walls. Some tables are empty but smells linger as if a meal was just served. Some booths rock slightly as though someone invisible sits there. And some kitchens echo knives and voices long after the chefs have left. Before we begin, I want you to answer me this in the comments: if you had to spend one night in a haunted restaurant, would you sit at the bar or at the darkest corner booth near the kitchen where shadows linger? Think carefully. Now step inside with me. Take a deep breath. The doors creak open, and the first story begins. Fraunces Tavern stands on Pearl Street in Manhattan, a relic of the city's revolutionary past. Its brick walls and timbered beams hold centuries of history, from the echo of musket fire to the quiet deliberations of patriots plotting independence. By day, the tavern welcomes tourists and locals alike, offering meals and drinks in rooms steeped in antiquity. Visitors admire the worn floors, the low ceilings, and the portraits of figures who shaped a nation. The air smells faintly of wood and aged stone, mingling with the aroma of modern cuisine. Everything appears ordinary, historical, grounded in reality. Yet as the sun dips below rooftops and shadows stretch across cobblestone streets. Late at night, when most of Manhattan sleeps, footsteps echo through hallways long closed to the public. They are slow, deliberate, measured, carrying the weight of boots on worn wood. The sound rises from staircases, bends around corners, and seems to pause at doorways, as though acknowledging presence. There is no one there. The building itself seems alive, recalling centuries of occupation, carrying echoes of soldiers, patriots, and tavern keepers who moved within its walls. Those who remain after dark report the sensation of walking among history in a tangible, almost human way. Some patrons claim to witness figures dressed in colonial attire seated at long-vanished tables. Men in tricorner hats and frock coats, women in long skirts and shawls, appear to sip from mugs or lean in conversation. They are fleeting, often glimpsed from the corner of the eye, and vanish when observed directly. The figures do not move aggressively or threaten. They occupy the space as if time itself has layered over the present, offering a window into the life of the tavern centuries ago. One visitor staying late after a historical tour described standing near the main room fireplace when he noticed movement in the corner. The air seemed cooler, the shadows longer. He saw a man in colonial dress, seated at a table no longer in the room, turning a tankard slowly in hand. The figure's attention appeared focused on some unseen companion. The visitor held his breath, unsure whether to step forward or retreat. When he blinked, the man was gone, leaving only the faint sense of presence and the creak of floorboards beneath invisible weight. Others report hearing conversations in empty rooms, murmurs of voices indistinct yet unmistakably human. Some hear laughter, sharp and precise, as if echoing across centuries. Chairs scrape against floors, glasses clink, and the floor groans with movement despite the absence of visible occupants. The sensations are subtle at first, often dismissed as imagination, but persist with growing certainty. Those familiar with the taverna's history recognize the voices as reflections of its revolutionary past, the very lifeblood of an era that shaped a nation. Staff members recount experiences as well. A bartender working late described preparing the room for morning service. When footsteps echoed behind him, no one had entered. A table set for the day was moved slightly, napkins disturbed, chairs angled differently from how they were left. Another employee described hearing a series of deliberate steps on the staircase leading to upper rooms. Footsteps that matched the pattern of soldier's boots long before the tavern became a modern establishment. In the silence that followed, a faint warmth lingered in the air, a suggestion of attention, observation, presence. Fraunces Tavern is not violent in its hauntings. Visitors rarely feel threatened. The experiences are often curious, almost reverent. There is a sense of history coexisting with the present. Layers of past and present overlapping within walls that have absorbed so much human activity. Patrons who witness the figures or hear the footsteps describe awe, a subtle thrill, and an appreciation for the continuity of life and memory. Some believe the spirits are bound to moments of significance, reliving conversations or events over and over. Others think they linger as guardians of memory, preserving the atmosphere and culture of a formative period. Regardless of origin, the effect is the same. Those who remain late into the night feel watched, observed, or accompanied, yet in a way that is strange and compelling rather than menacing. The taverna's architecture amplifies these experiences. Shadows stretch across floors unevenly, creating the sense of movement where none exists. Stone hearths and fireplaces radiate cold and warmth differently, enhancing the perception of presence. Time seems to slow, and the line between past and present blurs. By morning, the tavern returns to ordinary life. Patrons arrive for breakfast and lunch. Servers move quickly, filling glasses and plates. Sunlight streams through windows, warming floors and walls. Echoes of night fade, leaving little trace of footsteps, shadows, or figures at tables long vanished. Fraunces Tavern endures as both historic site and living witness. Its hallways, rooms, and floors retain memory. Footsteps, voices, and figures in colonial garb appear when night falls, bridging centuries in a way that allows visitors to feel connected to the past. Patrons leave changed, aware that beneath the ordinary atmosphere of dining and conversation lies a presence that remembers, observes, and keeps alive the stories of soldiers and patriots who once walked those same halls. The tavern stands, timeless and patient, a silent observer. Night after night, it repeats its subtle performances. Footsteps echo. Shadows move. Colonial figures appear briefly, sipping from empty cups, lingering long enough to remind the living that history is never truly gone. And in that quiet presence, Fraunces Tavern holds the past as a living memory, allowing those who enter to witness, to sense, and to remember alongside it. The Eateries stands tucked into the corner of Soho, a bar with centuries of history, its walls steeped in stories that predate modern streets. The exterior is modest, dark wood framed with time-worn brick, yet inside the space hums with quiet energy. The low ceilings and polished bar create an intimacy that draws visitors into its past as soon as they step through the door. Glasses clink, footsteps echo softly across creaking floors, and the smell of aged wood mingles with spirits long poured and long forgotten. During the day, the bar appears lively and welcoming, a meeting place for locals and travelers alike. Patrons fill stools and booths, laughter and conversation rising in rhythm with the music. Yet those who linger after hours, when crowds thin and shadows stretch along walls, speak of a different presence. Guests report hearing whispers behind the bar, subtle voices that do not belong to any bartender on duty. Orders are taken softly, in a tone familiar and yet impossible to locate, as though invisible hands move along the counter, attending to patrons unseen. One evening, a visitor sat at a corner table, the room quiet save for the low hum of conversation and the distant clink of glasses. He felt the brush of air against his back and glanced toward the bar. A faint voice repeated his order in a tone soft and deliberate, yet no one stood behind the counter. He looked closer, eyes scanning for a figure, a shadow, anything. There was nothing, yet the voice persisted, clear and gentle, repeating details as if confirming his request. He rose to investigate, heart beating faster. Only to find the bar empty and polished. No sign of movement beyond his own reflection in the glassware. Some visitors have claimed that chairs move on their own. A patron will leave for a brief moment and return to find a chair pulled back slightly, as if someone had risen or shifted without touching the floor. The movement is subtle, deliberate, never violent, enough to make the mind question what was real and what was imagined. Regulars sometimes report similar occurrences, though they speak in hushed tones, sharing the stories quietly as part of the lore that has grown over generations. A bartender once recounted an evening when the bar was nearly empty. As she polished glasses behind the counter, she heard the soft shuffle of footsteps moving toward the back door. Glancing up, she saw the edge of a chair slide backward ever so slightly, as if someone had just stood. No one entered or left. She froze, holding the glass in her hand, the faint echo of a whisper lingering in the space between the shelves and the mirror-lined walls. The moment passed, yet the chill of presence remained, a subtle reminder that the ear holds more than its visible patrons. Legends suggest that the spirits here are remnants of past generations. Perhaps bartenders and patrons from centuries ago still linger, drawn to the bar they knew in life. Perhaps the walls themselves remember the laughter and sorrow poured into the rooms, preserving echoes that slip into the quiet hours. Those who listen carefully may hear soft conversations, the scrape of a chair, the quiet clink of a glass, all repeating in subtle harmony with the history embedded in each beam and floorboard. Imagine standing there yourself. The room is dimly lit, amber light reflecting off polished wood and glass bottles lined neatly behind the bar. The room is dimly lit, amber light reflecting off polished wood and glass bottles lined neatly behind the bar. You take a seat at the bar and feel a sudden draft, almost imperceptible, brushing your shoulder. A voice, soft and deliberate, repeats your order. You turn, but the bar is empty, the bartender absent from sight. The voice lingers just long enough to unsettle, and you realize that the history of this place is alive in ways beyond sight and touch. As you glance around, a chair nearby moves slightly backward. No one sits there. No one approaches. Only the slow, deliberate motion of a presence unseen. Each creak of floorboard, each whisper carried on air, speaks of centuries of patrons, bartenders, and the countless moments that have unfolded within these walls. The ear-in remains a unique link between past and present. By day it welcomes visitors with warmth and hospitality. By night, it reveals its hidden layers, a subtle and gentle haunting that reminds guests of those who came before. Whispers behind the bar, chairs shifting slightly, soft echoes of laughter and conversation all create an atmosphere where history and presence intertwine. So if you ever find yourself at the ear-in in the quiet hours, sit patiently at the bar. Listen carefully. Watch the shadows along the walls. You may hear your order repeated in a voice that belongs to someone long gone. And in that moment, you will know that the ear-in carries more than spirits in glasses. It carries centuries of life, preserved in whispers, echoes, and gentle movement. Inviting you to witness history quietly unfolding before your eyes. Xorlia's Old Ale House sits quietly on a narrow street in Manhattana's East Village, its brick FAA section weathered by centuries of wind, rain, and the passage of time. Inside, The air carries the scent of aged wood, ale, and history layered thick over decades. Low ceilings and narrow aisles give the pub a sense of intimacy, a place where the past presses close to the present. Patrons laugh and clink glasses by day, but at night, when shadows settle across wooden floors and walls, the ale house feels different. It becomes a threshold where memory and presence linger. Some visitors report noticing shadows in corners, distinct from those cast by candlelight. These figures are shaped like patrons, seated with pints before them, hands holding glasses that never seem poured by living hands. They remain still, attentive to the room, yet separate from the bustle of life. They do not speak. They do not move with the rhythm of modern patrons. They exist as echoes of past evenings, a quiet audience watching over the ale and the laughter that continues centuries after their own departure. Candles flicker unnaturally near these shapes. Flames bend and lean toward corners where no living body stands. Light seems drawn to them, highlighting edges of coats, hats, and hands. As though trying to illuminate memory itself. The effect is subtle yet undeniable, drawing attention without force, creating a sense of life beyond the present. A bartender who has worked at Mxorlia's for decades shared his experiences quietly. He often closes late, sweeping floors and polishing wood, and at times has noticed the flicker of candlelight against empty benches. Leaning closer, he recognizes the forms of men and women who could not possibly be there, seated silently with pints held to lips. They vanish when approached, leaving only the faint scent of ale and smoke lingering in air heavy with night. Patrons sometimes feel the brush of presence, an awareness of eyes watching from corners while conversation continues around them. Some whisper of a chill along the spine when standing near certain tables, subtle enough to notice only in silence. Others have heard faint clinking of glasses, soft and measured, echoing from empty seats as if invisible hands raise a toast to centuries past. The sounds are never harsh, never alarming, only reminders that history in Mxorlia's is persistent, layered, and present. The effect of the shadows is more pronounced during evening hours when the pub is less crowded. The combination of low light, aged wood, and muted sounds creates a canvas upon which memory paints. Those who linger in quiet corners may catch sight of a figure adjusting a chair, raising a mug, or shifting slightly as if acknowledging their presence. Patrons who notice these subtleties often describe feeling a connection to the history of the place, a sense of continuity that stretches beyond ordinary time. Some visitors report that the shadows seem to respond to human gestures. Raise a hand, and a distant figure may mirror the movement seconds later. Sit quietly, and a shadow may incline slightly forward, attentive. These movements are subtle, delayed, yet unmistakably purposeful. Hinting at awareness and memory preserved in form. The effect is mesmerizing and unnerving. Creating the sensation of coexisting with generations of unseen patrons. Some visitors report that the shadows seem to respond to human gestures. Imagine sitting alone at a table near the far corner of Mxorlia's on a quiet evening. The room glows with amber light from overhead fixtures and candles along the bar. Shadows of modern patrons stretch across the floor, merging with darker shapes near the walls. You look closer, and the figure remains still, yet present. You notice a figure seated with back straight, head tilted slightly, hands resting on an empty pint. Time feels suspended as you observe, aware that the room holds more than what the eye can see. The history of Mxorlia's contributes to these experiences. Established in the 19th century, it has witnessed countless evenings of conversation, song, and cheer. Those who once walked the floors, raised glasses, and shared stories leave traces within the building itself. The shadows and flickering candlelight may be interpreted as echoes of that life, preserved in wood and stone, walls and floors. The sense of continuity is palpable, a bridge between past and present that guests feel deeply when alone in quiet corners of the pub. A bridge between past and present that guests feel deeply when alone in quiet corners of the pub. By late night, the ale-house returns to ordinary rhythm. Candles burn low. The air warms with the presence of life. Yet those who stayed late remember the silent figures. The deliberate flicker of candlelight. And the feeling of eyes watching from corners long emptied by time. The experience leaves an impression that lingers, a reminder that McSorley's old ale house carries more than drink and cheer. It carries memory, presence, and the shadows of countless evenings. Visitors leave with stories, sharing whispers of shadows in corners, candlelight bending toward invisible forms, and the occasional soft clinking of glasses from empty seats. Some are skeptical. Others are convinced. Regardless, McSorley's continues to welcome each new guest, offering warmth, ale, and a connection to centuries of patrons who have long since disappeared. Offering warmth, ale, and a connection to centuries of patrons who have long since disappeared. Those who remain quietly at closing time may feel the weight of history. Sense the presence of shadowy patrons. And know that in the East Village, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. In the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present. In the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the Amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Some spirits still raise a toast, ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan. Ever watchful, Ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a toast. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub. Ever watchful, ever present in the amber glow of the oldest Irish pub in Manhattan, some spirits still raise a Delmonico's stands at the heart of the financial district, a place renowned for its steaks, fine dining, and historic charm. The polished wood, dim lighting, and leather booths give the restaurant a timeless elegance, drawing guests who come for both the food and the atmosphere. Yet beneath its refined surface lies a shadowed history, whispered among staff and visitors alike, a story that unfolds most clearly after the last diner leaves. During the day, the restaurant is alive with activity. Waiters move with practiced grace, bringing plates of seared steaks and rich sauces to polished tables. The clinking of glasses and soft conversations fill the air, creating a rhythm of normalcy that belies the strange occurrences that emerge when night falls. The mirrors lining the walls reflect the bustling dining room, yet some report that after hours, they reflect something far more mysterious. Staff members have spoken of seeing diners in the mirrors who never arrived. Chairs pull back as if someone has been seated, and coats appear draped over empty backs. The reflections move and mingle with those who are not physically present, fading when approached, leaving only the empty room behind. It is as though the restaurant's mirrors hold on to echoes of meals past. Frozen moments replaying for anyone who dares to watch. The kitchen tells its own story. Pots and pans rattle as if handled by invisible hands. Cutting boards shift slightly on counters. And knives sometimes appear in places they were never placed. Chefs describe the sensation of being observed. A weightless presence lingering at the edge of perception, just beyond the reach of the bright kitchen lights. There is no malice, only a quiet insistence that the history of Delmonico's continues to linger, unwilling to fade completely. One night, a sous chef was preparing the evening's orders, when the large stockpot on the stove began to shake. He turned, expecting a colleague, but the kitchen was empty. The rattling continued for several moments, then ceased as abruptly as it began. He later realized the same movement could be seen in the reflections of the stainless steel surfaces, where the faint outlines of figures moved silently, unnoticed by anyone else. The stories told by longtime employees often point to the restaurant's deep history. Delmonico's has been a part of the financial district for generations, witnessing the comings and goings of the city itself. In its time, it has served bankers, artists, and celebrities, each leaving their own mark on the place. Some say that the spirits of those who dined here long ago remain tied to the space, drawn to the smells of cooking, the clatter of dishes, and the quiet intimacy of the tables. Even regular patrons sometimes notice the unusual phenomena. A table left vacant may seem occupied in the mirror, a fleeting shadow moving across the wall. Glasses appear to tilt slightly, and the soft hum of conversation can be heard where none exists. It is subtle, almost imperceptible to those who do not pay close attention, yet undeniable for those attuned to the nuances of the restaurant after hours. One evening, a private party celebrated in the dining room. As the guests left, the staff began to clean, and one server caught sight of a couple seated at the back table in the reflection of the mirror. They were laughing and raising glasses, perfectly dressed, yet when she turned to greet them, the chairs were empty, the room silent. The image lingered only in the mirrored surface. A ghostly performance replayed for anyone watching closely. The allure of Delmonico's is more than its cuisine. It is a place steeped in history, where the echoes of the past are intertwined with the present. Every corner holds a story. Every mirror reflects more than the current moment. And every room contains a trace of those who have come before. It is this delicate balance between elegance and mystery that captivates those who step through its doors. Despite these occurrences, the restaurant remains vibrant and welcoming. Patrons are drawn by the reputation of the steaks, the careful preparation of each dish, and the sophistication of the setting. Yet those who spend time observing the details cannot help but feel the weight of the restaurant's history pressing just beneath the surface. The flicker of a reflection, the soft movement of a chair, the subtle rattle of a pan all hint at a presence that refuses to be ignored. Over time, a pattern emerges in the experiences shared by staff and visitors. The unusual activity occurs most often at night, in the quiet moments when the restaurant's energy slows, and the space is left mostly to itself. It is in these hours that Delmonico's seems to remember its past, replaying fragments of dinners long gone and the laughter, conversation, and movement of diners who no longer exist in the present. The combination of history, elegance, and mystery creates an atmosphere unlike any other. Guests may arrive unaware, focused only on their meals and the ambience, yet find themselves experiencing the strange phenomena indirectly. The restaurant itself becomes a storyteller, using mirrors, shadows, and subtle sounds to hint at the layers of time that reside within its walls. Delmonico's continues to stand in the financial district, a beacon of culinary excellence and a repository of memories both living and lingering. The mirrors retain their secrets, the kitchen hums with unseen motion, and the tables seem to hold the faint traces of diners who never left. The mirrors retain their secrets, the kitchen hums with unseen motion, and the tables seem to hold the faint traces of diners who never left. The mirrors retain their secrets, the kitchen hums with unseen motion, and the tables seem to hold the faint traces of diners who never left. Each evening, as lights dim and the city outside quiets, the restaurant reveals another chapter of its story, a tale that blends history, mystery, and the enduring presence of the past within one of the city's most iconic spaces. Each evening, as lights dim and the city outside quiets, the restaurant reveals another chapter of its story, a tale that blends history, mystery, and the enduring presence of the past within one of the city's most iconic spaces. Each evening, as lights dim and the city outside quiets, the restaurant reveals another chapter of its story, a tale that blends history, mystery, and the enduring presence of the past within one of the city's most iconic spaces. For those who enter Delmonico's, the experience is more than a meal. It is a connection to generations of patrons and staff. An invitation to witness the subtle interplay of reality and memory. And a reminder that some places carry echoes that never fade. Even as the night ends and the doors close, the restaurant remains awake in its own way, quietly observing, preserving, and replaying the moments that make it a living testament to both culinary mastery and the enduring mystery of its past. For those who enter Delmonico's, the experience is more than a meal. The Dead Rabbit sits tucked into the narrow streets of Manhattan's financial district, a historic tavern steeped in the rich aroma of spirits and old wood. By day it thrives with patrons, the hum of conversation mingling with the clink of glass and the shuffle of servers moving briskly between tables. Candles flicker in sconces along the walls, casting warm light over exposed beams and stone accents. The tavern feels alive, bustling with life, but its true history stretches deeper than the ordinary bustle. Beneath the laughter and music, the tavern carries whispers of a time long past. Guests who linger after closing hours sometimes report a shift in the air. The once lively chatter fades to a hushed stillness, punctuated by the faintest sounds of movement. Footsteps echo lightly across wooden floors where no one walks. Glasses clink softly as though lifted by unseen hands, delicate taps of crystal ringing in the empty room. The sound is subtle at first, easy to dismiss. Yet it persists, drawing attention, creating the sensation that someone is tending the bar even when all is still. The ghostly bartender is said to serve patrons long gone, figures who once frequented the tavern decades, even centuries ago. Shadows move at the edge of vision, their shapes indistinct, blurred against low light. Some guests swear they see figures sitting at tables, leaning close, whispering to each other across invisible pints. Orders are murmured, repeated softly, echoes of voices that once filled the space with life. Even when no living soul occupies the room, the air seems thick with expectation, as if someone awaits service, an unseen presence lingering over the bar. A visitor staying late described walking to the counter after the last patrons left. The tavern was silent, every chair pushed neatly under tables. As he approached, a soft clink resonated from the far end of the room. Another clink followed, a rhythmic tapping, moving from table to table, as if drinks were being poured and served. He held his breath, listening, unable to see who or what caused the sound. The clinking continued, faint and precise, until it slowly faded, leaving only the quiet hum of distant city streets filtering through the tavern windows. Another account tells of whispers repeating orders from patrons long vanished. A woman returning late to retrieve a forgotten coat felt the presence of someone near. The air around her shifted, carrying the faint scent of spirits and wood smoke. A voice, soft and deliberate, spoke her name and repeated a drink order. She turned, startled, but the room remained empty. No one appeared, yet the voice lingered, subtle and intimate, as if the bartender remembered every patron, every request, every fleeting moment of interaction that had once taken place. Staff occasionally speak of feeling watched when the tavern empties. A glass placed on the counter will sometimes rattle lightly, as though someone adjusts it before pouring. Chairs shift subtly overnight, always returning to the precise arrangement they once held when the bar was busy. Those who experience it often describe a sense of reverence, as if the ghosts of past patrons and bartenders still occupy the space, carrying forward the rituals of the living without interfering, maintaining a continuity across time. The architecture of the Dead Rabbit amplifies these subtle phenomena. While stone and wood absorb and reflect sound in unexpected ways. But those who stay late into the night begin to sense the rhythm of unseen activity. Even when no one is present. The faint heartbeat of history playing out once more. Over decades, stories have accumulated. Visitors claim glimpses of figures moving along the bar. Hands adjusting bottles, shadows seated at stools long unused. Glasses appear wet with condensation, though no drink was poured. Footsteps echo along hallways, the sound deliberate and paced. As if retracing the steps of bartenders and patrons from another era. The energy of the past remains embedded in the space, leaving impressions that attentive observers cannot ignore. By morning, the tavern returns to normal. Lights flicker in full brightness, staff and patrons fill the rooms with laughter and conversation. And the sounds of unseen presence fade into memory. Guests who have experienced the subtle, quiet haunting speak of it later with awe and wonder. Their imaginations touched by the continuity of life that passes but does not vanish entirely. The Dead Rabbit, in these moments, becomes more than a historic tavern. It becomes a bridge between centuries, where the living and the unseen share space in a rhythm both delicate and enduring. Those who linger late, who stay when the city streets are empty, are drawn into the experience. Footsteps echo, glasses clink. Whispers repeat, and the presence of a ghostly bartender reminds them that history is alive, not only in books or images, but in the energy of a place and the continuity of human interaction. Patrons leave carrying the memory. A subtle awareness of presence. And the spirits of those who once filled its rooms with life, laughter, and stories still whispered among walls and wood. Minetta Tavern sits quietly in the heart of Greenwich Village, its brick exterior and dimly lit windows inviting visitors into a world that feels timeless. Inside, the air carries the scent of rich wood, aged leather, and food slowly cooking, mingling with the faint tang of history. The low ceilings and intimate tables create a warmth that draws people in, yet for those who linger, the space feels alive in ways that go beyond the ordinary. Some guests report that the tavern behaves in ways that cannot be explained. Tables rearrange themselves, shifting slightly even when no one is nearby. Chairs slide back as though moved by unseen hands. Plates and utensils remain untouched, yet the layout of the dining room changes subtly overnight. Patrons who return after hours sometimes find the chairs moved just so, a familiar pattern repeated, as if the restaurant remembers its past visitors and replays their presence in quiet gestures. Whispers are often heard from corners, soft and indistinct, yet compelling enough to make diners pause. The voices are said to belong to the writers and artists who frequented Greenwich Village decades ago. They speak in gentle murmurs, discussing poetry, novels, and the thoughts that once filled these rooms. Some claim that if you listen closely, you can catch fragments of their conversations, words about craft, philosophy, and life in a world that has long since passed. One evening, a writer visiting alone noticed a subtle brushing against his arm as he wrote. He looked around, expecting someone to have passed, but the space was empty. The sensation persisted, light and fleeting, as if a presence was nearby yet not visible. He felt a strange comfort in it, a connection to the creative spirits who had once roamed these same tables. The whispers seemed to rise slightly, like a chorus of acknowledgement. And then faded back into the hum of the tavern. Another visitor described a night when the dining room appeared empty but full of movement. Chairs shifted slightly, the sound of wood scraping against floorboards carried through the quiet. And tables seemed to adjust their positions almost imperceptibly. Soft voices murmured from corners, discussing ideas and stories, yet no one was present. It felt as though the past was replaying itself subtly, allowing diners a glimpse of a time when Minetta Tavern was filled with conversation, laughter, and the soft scratch of pens on paper. Locals believe the presence is tied to the history of the tavern and the neighborhood itself. Greenwich Village has long been a haven for artists, writers, and thinkers. Minetta Tavern, with its intimate booths and warm lighting, has witnessed decades of creative energy. The tables and chairs, the floorboards and walls, may carry echoes of that energy. Those who visit after hours or pay close attention sometimes sense the weight of history, the movement of time pressing gently against the present, a reminder that the spirits of ideas linger where they were born. Imagine yourself seated at a corner table. The soft murmur of voices from across the room, but when you turn, the space appears empty. The chair beside you shifts slightly, an imperceptible movement that makes your skin tingle. You glance toward the far corner, sensing the presence of someone unseen, perhaps a writer from another era, brushing by in thought and memory. The whispers rise and fall, as if sharing knowledge and insight with no expectation of acknowledgement. As you dine, you may feel a gentle brushing against your arm, light as air, as if someone stands beside you offering guidance, encouragement, or companionship. The air seems heavier with creativity, charged with the thoughts and energy of those who once frequented the space. Tables, chairs, and utensils appear subtly moved, silently aligning themselves in patterns only they understand. Every movement, every whisper, creates a connection to the past, a thread linking you to the countless visitors who came before. Minetta Tavern exists both as a living space and as a repository of memory. The warmth of meals, the laughter of diners, and the conversations of writers past converge to create an atmosphere rich with presence. The unseen movements and whispered voices are not threats, but reminders that history is never fully gone. It lives in the space, in the furniture, in the air that carries the scent of wine and old wood. Those who pay attention leave with a sense of wonder, a subtle awareness that something beyond the ordinary persists. Tables may shift, chairs may slide, whispers may rise. And a gentle touch may brush against your arm. These experiences are fleeting yet profound, leaving diners with a lingering sense of connection to the creative souls who have made Minetta Tavern a place of inspiration for generations. So, if you find yourself in Greenwich Village and step into Minetta Tavern, notice the small movements, listen closely to the faint whispers, and remain aware of the subtle presence that surrounds you, where the energy of past writers continues to shape the room, and where the unseen lingers in every shadow, every creaking chair, and every whispered thought and every creaking chair. The tavern is alive not only with patrons of today, but with the enduring spirits of creativity, watching, guiding, and gently moving around you as you dine. Keen's Steakhouse stands proudly in Midtown Manhattan, its red brick FAA section Ade and carved wooden doors a testament to over a century of history. Inside, the air smells of aged oak, seared meat, and the faintest trace of pipe smoke from decades past. Patrons move through low-lit dining rooms, past walls lined with historic memorabilia, and along the longest hall in the restaurant, which stretches deep into shadowed corners. By day, it is a bustling hub of conversation, silverware clinking against china, and laughter filling the warm, inviting space. But when night settles and guests thin, the hall transforms into a place where history feels alive in unexpected ways. The longest hall is said to be haunted by a ghostly server. Visitors describe the sensation first as a presence nearby. Walking along the polished floorboards, they feel the brush of a hand against their shoulder. Warm, insistent, yet intangible. No one stands behind them, yet the pressure is unmistakable. Some turn quickly, expecting a colleague, a friend, or a fellow patron. Only emptiness greets their gaze. The hall stretches forward in silence, yet something unseen accompanies them, attentive and deliberate. It is not only touch that unsettles guests. Some report hearing laughter drifting down the hall, low and rich, carrying the tone of men in old suits. The sound is distinct, a timbre unfamiliar to modern ears, punctuated with a casual cheer reminiscent of a bygone era. The voices echo as if bouncing off timbered walls and polished wood floors, fading and returning in patterns that suggest presence rather than simple memory. Guests walking the hall at night describe the sensation as walking among men long gone, their enjoyment of fine dining in company lingering in sound and spirit. One server, closing after a late dinner, recounted an experience in the hall. Walking back toward the kitchen, she felt a hand settle lightly on her shoulder. Warm, steady, without pressure, as if guiding her along the path. She turned, but no one was there. A soft chuckle echoed from the far end of the hallway, distant yet immediate, fading into the shadows. She froze, listening to the rhythm of footsteps and laughter that were not hers or anyone else's in the building. The sensation persisted for several minutes before fading completely, leaving only the warmth of memory in the air. Guests also speak of the ghostly server appearing as a figure, translucent yet well-defined, moving along the hall between tables and doors. The figure seems courteous, performing gestures that echo service from decades past. Hands extend, trays lift, motions fluid but slow, as though caught between time and space. Some have glimpsed the figure retreating toward the far end of the hall, disappearing near doors that lead to rooms not in use. Patrons rarely see the full form, but feel the presence in warmth and attention, aware of being observed and guided without harm. The effect is subtle yet profound. Chairs scrape faintly against floors. Doors swing open quietly with no breeze. And light flickers in low fixtures as if acknowledging the presence within. Patrons describe the sensation as immersive, compelling them to slow their pace, notice the details of their surroundings, and appreciate the continuity of time embedded in the restaurant's architecture. Imagine walking down the hall late at night. Candlelight from sconces casts pools of amber glow across wood paneling. The polished floors gleam beneath your shoes. As you move, a warm hand rests on your shoulder, just long enough to make your skin prickle. A low laugh drifts from the far end, echoing across the length of the hall, full of character and life from another era. You pause, scanning the shadows. Nothing is visible, yet the warmth remains, the laughter lingers, a tangible link between past and present. The hall carries history beyond the ghosts themselves. Keen's has hosted countless patrons over the years, men in suits and hats, women in fine attire, celebrating deals, friendships, and milestones. The laughter that echoes is more than sound, it is memory captured in space, a reflection of lives lived and moments enjoyed. The ghostly server appears as part of that continuity, attending to visitors in a way that bridges centuries, connecting present-day diners to traditions long established. Those who experience the hall often leave with lingering impressions. The sensation of touch, the echo of laughter, the sense of observation remains with them long after they exit into the bustling streets of Midtown. The ghostly server and the men in suits are never threatening. They are custodians of memory, maintaining presence and ritual, reminding all who pass that Keen's Steakhouse is more than a place to eat. It is a repository of history, laughter, and attentive care preserved in both spirit and structure. As night deepens and the last patrons depart, the hall returns to stillness. The polished floors reflect only lanterns and sconces, and shadows settle back into corners. Yet those attuned to history, presence, and memory may feel the warmth at their shoulder, the faint echo of laughter, and the attentive guidance of a figure bridging past and present. Keen's Steakhouse endures as a place where tradition, memory, and spectral attention coexist, creating a dining experience that transcends time. Visitors who walk the longest hall learn to move slowly, notice every detail, and respect the presence that lingers. The warmth, the laughter, and the attentive gestures serve as reminders of those who came before, keeping history alive in wood, brick, and spirit. Guests leave carrying the memory, the sensation of being observed, and the echo of voices that refuse to be forgotten, making the longest hall of Keen's Steakhouse an enduring testament to the invisible threads connecting past and present. Eateries sits quietly on a corner of the Upper West Side, a building that has seen the city shift and change around it for decades. Once a small, bustling bakery, it has transformed into a charming restaurant, its wood-paneled interior and warm lighting welcoming diners from morning until night. The smell of food, laughter, and conversation fills the space during the day, but as the streets outside darken, an entirely different presence begins to make itself known. In the late hours, after the last guests have departed and the kitchen is cold, the air inside Eateries can take on a strange weight. The ovens, long since turned off, still seem to radiate warmth to those moving through the space. More unusual is the scent that appears out of nowhere, the rich, yeasty aroma of freshly baked bread. It drifts through the dining area, lingering over tables and chairs, as though the bakery's past refuses to be forgotten. Staff members who have stayed late often speak of noticing shadows moving in the corners of their eyes. The most commonly reported sight is the figure of a baker, tall and shadowed, kneading dough at a long wooden table. No light catches the face, no sound accompanies the movement, yet the action is unmistakable. Flour dusts the countertop and lingers in the air for an instant, then vanishes without a trace, leaving only the impression that someone, or something, has been there. Many have tried to explain these occurrences logically. Perhaps it is a memory carried in the building itself. A residue of decades spent shaping bread and pastries for the neighborhood. Perhaps it is a trick of the light or imagination in a quiet space. Yet for those who have witnessed the baker, the experience feels more than suggestion. It is deliberate, persistent, and eerily peaceful, as if the spirit is committed to completing its task, night after night. One evening, a manager stayed behind to clean and restock supplies. The lights were dim, the streets outside silent. She was halfway through sweeping when the scent of fresh dough filled the room. Startled, she looked toward the prep area and saw the faint outline of a baker pressing and folding dough, the figure entirely shadowed and yet unmistakably human in motion. When she blinked, it had disappeared, leaving the air tinged with warmth and the lingering fragrance of bread. Regular patrons and staff alike often note that these experiences are accompanied by a sense of calm. The presence is never threatening, never abrupt. Instead, it feels like a reminder of the history embedded in the walls of Pfister's, a momentary connection to the hands that built the bakery's legacy. The shadowed baker moves with purpose, silent and steady, continuing a ritual begun long before the restaurant occupied the space. Over the years, the stories have become part of the restaurant's lore. Servers who work the late shifts report footsteps on the wooden floors when no one else is there. Chairs sometimes appear slightly moved from their original position, and utensils occasionally shift as though recently used. Yet the strongest impression is always the smell of fresh bread, rising through the quiet rooms like a memory made tangible. The building itself seems to hold these echoes of the past. The wooden beams creak as if breathing. The floors retain the impressions of countless footsteps. And the counters seem to remember the rhythmic motion of kneading dough. It is as though the restaurant has absorbed the life of the bakery, preserving it in layers that unfold only when the bustle of modern diners has faded. One night, a chef working late in the kitchen noticed the dough figure moving along the prep tables, folding and pressing with skillful precision. The figure paused briefly, then continued as if entirely aware of the observer yet undisturbed by their presence. When the chef returned the next morning, the counters were spotless, the ovens cold, and no evidence remained beyond the lingering aroma that seemed impossible to explain. Visitors who enter Eateries during the day rarely sense the past so vividly. Sunlight spills across polished tables, laughter mixes with the clatter of dishes, and the aroma of prepared meals fills the air. Sunlight spills across polished tables, laughter mixes with the clatter of dishes, and the aroma of prepared meals fills the air. But as night falls and the last diners leave, the restaurant takes on a different character. The building exhales a memory, the baker appears to continue work unseen, and the smells of bread rise without cause. The building exhales a memory, the baker appears to continue work unseen, and the smells of bread rise without cause. It is a quiet, patient performance, a subtle reminder of the lives and labor that shaped the space long before it became a restaurant. Eateries is a place where history and present coexist, where culinary tradition lingers in both tangible and intangible forms. The shadowed baker, the shifting counters, and the inexplicable scents are not frightening, but rather a connection to something larger, a living memory of dedication, craft, and care. Each late-night encounter offers a glimpse into the continuity of the space, bridging the past and the present with a quiet, deliberate grace. Even as the city hums around it, Eateries remains a haven for the senses, a space where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet. The ovens may be cold, the lights dimmed, and the streets empty, yet the legacy of the bakery lives on. The scent of fresh bread drifts through the rooms, and the building itself whispers the story of its history to anyone who listens closely. For those who witness it, Eateries is more than a restaurant. It is a testament to time, memory, and the enduring presence of those who once labored to create something cherished. Every late night offers a fleeting but unforgettable connection to the past. A reminder that even in modern life, some spaces carry the work, care, and quiet rituals of those who came before. Never truly gone, always remembered. The Campbell apartment sits tucked behind the grandeur of Grand Central Terminal, a lavish bar where crystal chandeliers hang low and polished wood reflects the warm glow of ambient lighting. Patrons sip cocktails, the clink of glass and quiet conversation blending with the soft strains of music. The space is elegant, timeless, and filled with echoes of an era long past. Every detail speaks of sophistication, from the ornate ceiling to the deep leather chairs. Yet beneath this veneer of glamour lies a history tinged with tragedy, a memory of lives and moments that linger in subtle ways. Guests often describe sensations that cannot be explained by ordinary perception. Glassware moves subtly on tables, tilting or shifting as though touched by unseen fingers. Chairs creak lightly without weight or motion from any living patron. Some patrons glance toward corners of the room only to glimpse the fleeting form of a man in a suit, pale and indistinct, who fades into the walls before a second look can confirm his presence. He moves with quiet dignity, the outline of his figure sharp for a heartbeat before vanishing completely. One visitor recalled arriving late in the evening, the bar nearly empty. The bar nearly empty. Candlelight shimmered across polished surfaces and reflected off glassware lying neatly behind the counter. As she reached for her drink, a soft movement caught her eye. A glass near the center of the bar swayed slightly, then settled, though no one had been near. Her curiosity piqued, she scanned the room, spotting a man in a dark suit near the far end. He appeared to watch the space around him, still and quiet. When she blinked, he was gone. The history of the Campbell apartment is entwined with wealth, ambition, and sorrow. Once a private office and speakeasy, it witnessed moments of personal triumph and despair. Some say the spirit of a man who spent his life navigating those triumphs and losses remains behind the bar, a presence attentive to the ebb and flow of patrons even decades later. The subtle disturbances, the glimpses of figure and movement, are often described as dignified, almost ceremonial, as though the past lingers without intent to harm. Another patron visiting with friends felt a shift in temperature while seated near the fireplace. Air brushed across her neck and arms, cool and sudden. She turned and glimpsed the same figure, suit precise, posture upright, appearing momentarily beside a table where no one sat. When she blinked, the figure had melted into the shadows of the wall. The sensation was unmistakable, a presence made tangible through movement, air, and memory, though it left no physical trace. Staff also recount subtle phenomena. A bartender working late noticed chairs slightly angled differently than when he left them moments before. Glasses seemed to tilt ever so slightly, and faint sounds of footsteps echoed across polished floors when the room was otherwise empty. These occurrences do not frighten, they evoke curiosity and a quiet reverence for the history embedded in the walls. It is as if the building itself remembers and wishes to share fragments of its past with those present. The architecture of the Campbell apartment enhances these experiences. Vaulted ceilings and heavy woodwork carry sound in unexpected ways, reflecting faint creaks and footsteps. Candlelight and low ambient lighting create shifting shadows that may suggest movement where none exists, yet witnesses consistently report seeing figures distinctly formed, not simply imagined. Patrons often describe a feeling of being observed without menace, as though the room itself recognizes the presence of a past inhabitant who continues to linger, attentive and composed. One evening, a couple dining near the center of the bar noticed their drinks subtly tilted. A minor movement that drew their attention. Simultaneously, a figure in a suit appeared at the far wall, watching for an instant before dissolving into the shadow of a column. They did not feel fear, only awe and a strange connection to the history of the space. It was as if the apartment allowed them a glimpse into the life it once contained. A bridge across decades between past and present. Throughout the night, guests often experience faint whispers, the sound of quiet movement, and subtle changes to the environment. The presence is patient and dignified. It does not interfere with the living in harmful ways, instead offering moments of awareness and reflection, reminders that the history of a place is more than walls and decor. It is carried in subtle gestures, fleeting glimpses, and the weight of memory. Reminders that the history of a place is more than walls and decor. It is carried in subtle gestures, fleeting glimpses, and the weight of memory. By morning, the Campbell apartment returns to its daytime elegance. Patrons arrive for lunch and conversation, the events of the night fading into subtle memory. Yet those who stayed late remember the movement of glassware, the whisper of footsteps, the figure in a suit. They carry a sense of having witnessed the past brush against the present, a quiet understanding that some histories remain alive, attentive, and always present. The Campbell apartment endures as a space of elegance, memory, and subtle haunting. The clink of glass, the soft movements, the figure in the suit, all serve as reminders that the past is never truly gone. Patrons leave the bar carrying an awareness that within these walls, amidst polished wood and glowing candlelight, the shadows of history still walk, ever watchful, ever dignified, bridging centuries between the living and those who remain unseen. Peter Luger Steakhouse in Brooklyn stands as an institution of flavor and history, its dark wood paneling and brass accents creating an atmosphere both rich and timeless. Patrons step inside and are greeted by the familiar hum of conversation, the soft clink of silverware, and the aroma of perfectly seared steaks. During the day, the restaurant is bustling with life, filled with families, friends, and food enthusiasts savoring every moment. But after hours, when the crowd has thinned and shadows stretch across the polished floors, a different presence is said to emerge. A different presence is said to emerge. Reports tell of ghostly patrons returning to the tables they once occupied. Figures are sometimes glimpsed out of the corner of the eye, lingering near chairs and booths that have seen decades of diners. They are faint, almost transparent, yet carry an air of familiarity. As though they belong to the restaurant as much as the wood and the walls. Their presence is subtle but unmistakable, a whisper of motion in a space that feels otherwise still. Many diners recount sensations that defy explanation. While seated, a person may feel the gentle pressure of an unseen hand pushing their chair slightly back, adjusting their space in a manner that is polite, deliberate, and oddly comforting. It is never aggressive, merely a quiet assertion of presence. Some describe the feeling as though the restaurant itself is alive, guiding and interacting with those who occupy it, reminding them that history lingers in every corner, every table, and every empty seat. One visitor, dining late on a quiet weekday evening, felt a sudden shift in her chair. She turned to see no one, yet the movement was unmistakable. The air seemed to thicken, carrying the faint scent of old leather and polished wood. A soft brush against her shoulder, fleeting and cool, accompanied the sensation, leaving her both startled and intrigued. She looked around the room, noticing shadows that seemed slightly out of place, stretching across floors and walls in the low light. The experience left her with a sense of connection to something beyond the visible. Another account comes from a family celebrating a special occasion. As they ate, they noticed their chairs occasionally shifting, returning to positions as if invisible diners had just vacated them. The sound of subtle movements, the quiet scraping of wood on the floor, and the faint pressure of invisible hands created a sensation that was both eerie and captivating. No figure was visible, yet the family felt watched, guided, and gently acknowledged by a presence that seemed entwined with the restaurant itself. Historians and locals suggest that these phenomena may be tied to the long legacy of Peter Luger Steakhouse. Over the decades, countless patrons, staff, and owners have contributed to the rich tapestry of its history. Some believe that certain souls remain, returning to familiar tables, continuing rituals of dining, conversation, and enjoyment. The restaurant may serve as a bridge between past and present, where memories linger in the air, embodied in subtle gestures and fleeting sensations. Imagine sitting at a table yourself, the aroma of cooked meat filling your senses, the soft hum of conversation around you. The slight nudge as your chair moves back, perfectly timed as though someone behind you wished to create more space. A shadow shifts in the corner, and for a moment, you sense eyes watching kindly. There is no fear, only a quiet acknowledgement of presence, a gentle reminder that history lives in the walls, in the tables, and in the chairs. The experience of dining at Peter Luger becomes more than a meal. It transforms into a connection with the past. A subtle engagement with memories that have accumulated over decades. Each table carries stories, laughter, and perhaps even the essence of those who once dined there. Even as the restaurant hums with modern life. A testament to the enduring presence of history in the space. Guests leave with more than satisfaction from their meal. They carry with them a sense of wonder. An awareness that they have dined in a place where the past subtly brushes against the present. Peter Luger Steakhouse is alive in more ways than one. The legacy of ghostly patrons, the gentle nudges of invisible hands, and the enduring sense of presence create a unique atmosphere where time and memory converge. Those who enter are invited not only to savor exceptional food, but also to witness the subtle echoes of history, lingering in tables, chairs, and the very air that has held decades of shared meals. So if you ever find yourself in Brooklyn, seated at a table in Peter Luger Steakhouse, notice the subtle movements. Notice the subtle movements, the shadows at the edges of the room, and the quiet presence that may brush against your arm. It is a place where past and present coexist, where ghostly patrons return to familiar tables, and where the legacy of a storied establishment continues to shape the experience of every diner who walks through its doors. Rouse sits quietly on a corner of East Harlem, its unassuming brick FAA section Ade belying a history rich with Italian tradition, family, and the aroma of food that has filled the neighborhood for decades. By day, the streets hum with life, car horns and chatter blending with the scent of baking bread and simmering sauces. Inside, the restaurant exudes warmth, polished wood, low lighting, and the mingling of conversations across tightly packed tables. Patrons come for food, for history, for a taste of something timeless. Yet at night, when the crowd has left and the streets grow still, guests often speak first of piano music drifting from upstairs rooms long abandoned. The sounds are faint at first, a soft melody barely audible over the hum of city night. Notes rise and fall with the cadence of a practiced hand, smooth and deliberate. It is unmistakably piano, yet no instrument has played in those rooms for decades. Patrons and staff alike describe hearing the music from hallways or tables near the stairs, the sound seeming to carry weight, presence, and familiarity. It evokes images of past gatherings, laughter, and celebration, as though the walls themselves remember the joy they once contained. One longtime server recalled an evening after closing. Sweeping the floor and clearing tables, she paused when she heard the piano playing softly above. Curious, she ascended the stairs to the second floor, where private rooms had not been used in years. The music grew clearer, flowing around corners and across empty chairs. She approached the nearest room, hand on the doorknob, but found it empty, the piano silent as she reached it. Stepping back, she heard the notes resume, echoing gently through the hall. The sound was precise, measured, almost playful, yet impossible to locate. She shivered at the intimacy of it and left the room with the melody still lingering in her ears. Visitors described similar experiences. Guests dining alone or in small groups hear the faintest strains of music from above, as though someone plays in another time, another life. The effect is subtle but immersive. The melody is neither loud nor discordant. It floats across walls and ceilings, warm as a memory and precise as if practiced by a master. Often the music accompanies the quiet, a counterpoint to the hum of the empty city outside, creating a sensation of standing within history itself. The music often evokes emotion. Patrons describe feeling nostalgia for eras they never experienced. A connection to past diners and musicians who once inhabited the space. Some report subtle chills, others a sense of comfort and warmth. as if welcomed by the invisible presence. The notes ripple through wood and stone, filling the air with echoes of evenings past. Laughter, conversations, and quiet reflection. Each repetition feels unique, shaped by the Listenera's proximity, the shift of light, and the depth of silence within the building. Imagine standing near the staircase late at night, the restaurant empty except for a lone chair or table. The first notes, delicate and deliberate. They rise slowly, then fall, dancing in the corners of rooms long unused. You step closer, drawn by the sound, heart quickening in recognition of a melody older than you. The piano plays with grace and subtle intention, yet when you reach the room, the instrument is nowhere to be found. Only the sound remains, echoing from the walls and ceilings as though the building itself plays in memory. The experience is not limited to any single time or place. Staff and guests alike report hearing the music during quiet moments, often in transition between tables or hallways. Sometimes the notes accompany conversations, softening the edges of speech and filling empty spaces. Other times, they arrive in sudden bursts, brief and insistent, fading before listeners can pinpoint the source. The effect is immersive, intimate, and entirely untraceable. The music seems less an event than a presence, one that acknowledges the history of Fraunces and the generations who have passed through its doors. The sound is sometimes accompanied by subtle visual cues. Candlelight flickers in empty rooms, shadows stretching across tables and floors. Chairs may appear slightly out of place, polished surfaces gleaming with faint reflections. The atmosphere suggests attentiveness, a reminder that the past remains intertwined with the present. Patrons who notice the music and movement often feel a connection to something larger, a continuum of people, laughter, and life preserved within the walls of the restaurant. Rouse has witnessed generations of diners, musicians, and family members. Each evening, the piano music seems to recall that legacy, threading notes through time and space, connecting the present with memory. Guests leave with an impression both ephemeral and enduring, carrying the faint echo of music that cannot be touched, yet cannot be forgotten. The experience encourages awareness, attentiveness, and respect for history preserved not only in objects but in the lingering presence of sound. This is a legacy that transcends the physical, a testament to the power of music to connect us across time and space. By morning, the restaurant returns to its familiar rhythm. Waitstaff prepare tables, dishes clatter. Voices fill the dining room, and the city hums outside. Yet for those who arrived late, lingered, and listened, the piano remains suspended in memory, a reminder that some histories continue to play long after the last note has been struck. Fraunces is more than a restaurant. It is a living record of people, music, and presence. Where the past whispers through the keys of a piano no longer touched, yet never truly silent. Union Oyster House stands as a living monument in the heart of Manhattan, its brick walls and wooden beams steeped in centuries of history. The smell of the sea mingles with the aroma of fresh seafood, drawing diners into a space where time seems to fold back on itself. By day, it is bustling, filled with laughter, conversation, and the clatter of dishes. Yet as night falls and the last patrons leave, the restaurant takes on a different, quieter rhythm, one that reveals a connection to its past that is impossible to ignore. The floors, worn smooth by generations of footsteps, seem to retain echoes of those who walked them long ago. At times, visitors report hearing the faint sound of steps echoing down empty hallways. No one is there, and yet the rhythm is unmistakable, steady and deliberate, as if the building itself remembers the movement of workers and diners who have come and gone over the centuries. Shells, too, behave in curious ways. Oysters and clams, carefully arranged on platters, have been known to shift slightly, as though nudged by unseen hands. These subtle movements are rarely alarming. But they create a sense that the restaurant is alive in ways that go beyond the ordinary. Some diners have reported seeing faint outlines of figures moving quietly between tables. These are not fully formed, and often appear as silhouettes or shadows. They are dressed in the style of workers from a century ago, carrying trays or setting plates with practiced ease. Patrons describe the feeling of being observed, a gentle presence that watches over the dining room without intrusion. It is as if the history of Union Oyster House is replaying itself for anyone willing to notice, a quiet performance from the past layered atop the present. One evening, a couple dining late in the main room noticed a shimmer near a corner table. The lights reflected off what appeared to be a waiter in a long apron, placing a plate of oysters with careful precision. When they blinked, the figure was gone, and the table stood empty. The couple left with a mixture of awe and curiosity, yet certain that the space had momentarily opened a window into its past. Employees who work the closing shifts often recount similar experiences. Dishes sometimes rattle as if being handled, even when the kitchen is quiet. Chairs scrape lightly against the floor, and drawers may be found slightly ajar, though no one has moved them. These occurrences are accompanied by a sensation of quiet vigilance, as if unseen hands are ensuring that the restaurant maintains the rhythm of its own long history. The Union Oyster House has been serving patrons for over 2 centuries, and its walls are witnesses to countless stories. From early diners in top hats and long coats to families seeking a meal in the modern city, the restaurant has absorbed generations of experiences. Many believe that this accumulation of memory is what allows the subtle phenomena to occur. A living archive that occasionally reveals itself in the form of movement, sound, or sight. There is a sense of continuity that permeates the space. The sounds of footsteps, the faint outlines of workers, and the movement of shells are not frightening but oddly comforting. They connect those who witness them to the long lineage of service, skill, and care that has defined the restaurant since its earliest days. Some of the most striking experiences occur in the back hallways and storage areas, where staff once prepared the seafood and organized supplies. The air carries a subtle weight. It is as if the history of labor performed here continues to echo, silently reminding the living of the dedication that sustained the restaurant for generations. Even during the busiest hours, attentive diners may notice subtle irregularities. A chair seems to shift slightly while no one is seated, or a silver platter glints as though handled briefly before being returned to its original position. These small gestures serve as reminders that Union Oyster House is more than a building or a restaurant. It is a repository of memory, a place where the past and present exist together, overlapping and interacting in quiet, often imperceptible ways. The legacy of the Union Oyster House is both culinary and historical. Its continued operation preserves traditions, recipes, and service techniques passed down over centuries. At the same time, the subtle presence of the pasta, the moving shells, the echoing footsteps, the shadowed figurissa, ensures that every visit is a reminder that time is layered, and that those who have gone before are never entirely absent. As night deepens and the streets outside fall silent, the restaurant itself seems to breathe with its own rhythm. The shadows of workers long gone continue to move through the dining rooms, attending tables, adjusting trays, and kneeling to prepare plates. Remind anyone who remains that Union Oyster House carries its history within its walls, alive in a way that few modern spaces can claim. For those who experience it, the Union Oyster House offers more than a meal. It offers a connection across time, a chance to witness the layering of past and present in a tangible and unforgettable way. The shell movements, the footsteps, and the faint outlines of servers are gentle echoes, a living tribute to generations of work, care, and culinary tradition that continue to inhabit the heart of Manhattan. Every night, the restaurant settles into quiet. The past and present coexisting. The echoes lingering in hallways and dining rooms alike. Union Oyster House endures as a testament to history, craftsmanship, and the subtle presence of those who came before. A place where memory moves alongside the living, and where every visit holds the possibility of glimpsing the unseen stories woven into its walls. Galagira's Steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan is renowned for its rich wood paneling, deep leather booths, and timeless elegance. Patrons dine under soft lighting that casts warm glows across polished tables and gleaming silverware. The scent of seared steak and aged whiskey mingles in the air, creating an atmosphere of indulgence and history. By day and evening, the restaurant is alive with conversation, clinking glasses, and the quiet rhythm of attentive servers. But beneath the glamour and bustle, Galagira's holds a presence that transcends time, a subtle awareness that some patrons claim is impossible to ignore. Visitors often report an unusual scent drifting through the dining room, lingering in corners where no kitchen exhaust reaches. It is the rich, acrid aroma of cigar smoke, swirling lazily across polished wood, though no patron or staff member has lit one. The scent is faint yet unmistakable, curling along beams and walls, trailing across tables and booths. Some guests claim it feels warm, almost deliberate, as if inhaled by an unseen companion seated nearby. It leaves a lingering curiosity, a sense that someone else shares the room even when it appears empty. Figures in hats and trench coats sometimes appear near doors or at the edge of the dining area. They stand motionless for a heartbeat, often turn slightly as if observing the room, then vanish, leaving no trace. Patrons glimpse these forms from the corner of their eyes, only to discover nothing remains. Staff report brief flickers of shadow along hallways and service corridors, subtle movements that suggest human form but evaporate upon direct attention. These apparitions are never threatening. They occupy the space with quiet dignity, like reminders of an era long past. One late-night visitor, dining alone, recalled seeing a man in a dark trench coat and fedora step from a side door. He lingered for a moment near the bar, a presence almost tangible, then slowly faded as the observer blinked. No other person had entered or left. The air seemed heavier where he had stood, carrying a faint scent of tobacco. The encounter left the diner chilled but captivated, aware of a history woven into the wood and walls, echoing through time. Staff members often share similar experiences. Glassware clinked softly as if brushed by invisible hands. Chairs shifted subtly under the weight of presence that did not exist in the physical world. Servers recount fleeting glimpses of figures lingering at the end of a hallway or behind partitioned booths, only to dissolve into shadows moments later. The atmosphere remains calm, respectful, never aggressive, yet undeniably present. Galagira's Steakhouse is steeped in decades of history. A gathering place for business leaders, entertainers, and everyday New Yorkers. Some believe the ghosts are the lingering echoes of patrons from eras when cigar smoke filled the room freely, and conversations carried late into the night. Figures in hats and trench coats may be echoes of businessmen and socialites, attentive to their routines even in absence, maintaining a silent observation over the restaurant they once frequented. Guests often notice subtle signs that the presence is active. A chair may tilt slightly when no one is near. The faint creak of floorboards carries across empty spaces. Glasses may sway on tables, an imperceptible motion that suggests weight and touch. The smoke drifts in patterns, curling around patrons' faces, rising in columns where no flame or ash exists. The environment is alive with echoes of the past, present yet removed, tangible yet unseen. One couple dining late at night reported the sensation of someone passing closely behind them. The air moved against their shoulders, a soft brush of warmth. When they looked, a shadow in a fedora lingered near a doorway, watching, then vanished as they turned. Later, they noticed the faint scent of tobacco lingering, a ghostly residue of presence that defied explanation. The architecture of Galagira enhances these experiences. High ceilings, wooden beams, and partitioned dining areas. Shadows stretch along walls, cast by candlelight and sconces, creating illusions of movement. Patrons sensitive to subtle cues may perceive presence as human. A form moving through space while others remain unaware. By day, the restaurant is full of light and life. Patrons chatter and servers navigate with practiced rhythm. Smoke smells of grilled steak, not tobacco. Shadows align naturally with decor and lighting. Yet those who have stayed late remember the subtle disturbances. The soft clink of glassware, the curl of ghostly smoke. And figures in trench coats appearing and fading at the edges of their vision. Galagira's steakhouse endures as both a living restaurant and a silent witness to history. Footsteps echo softly when no one walks. Glasses move on tables without touch. Cigar smoke drifts where none burns. Figures appear briefly, then dissolve into walls. Patrons leave carrying the impression of a past that is not gone. A history made tangible in sound, scent, and shadow. The restaurant remains vibrant by day. Yet at night, it reveals a deeper story. One that whispers across time, connecting present and past. In quiet, lingering presence that honors its history, while captivating those who notice the unseen. The Spotted Pig sits quietly in the West Village, its modest exterior a contrast to the rich history and dimly lit interior that welcomes visitors. Inside, the air is warm with the scent of aged wood, polished brass, and food slowly cooking. Low ceilings create intimate corners where shadows gather, soft lamplight flickering across tables and bar stools. By day, the pub hums with conversation and laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the soft scrape of chairs on worn floors. But as night deepens and the crowd thins, the atmosphere shifts. The Spotted Pig becomes a space where history lingers, and unseen presences seem to claim the dark corners as their own. Patrons have reported unusual occurrences that cannot be explained. Chairs rock gently on their own, shifting slightly as though someone invisible has taken a seat or moved away. Some diners feel a presence brushing against their shoulders or hear soft whispers in the quiet of the room. Whispers that call patrons by name, even long after they have arrived, lingering in corners where no one stands. One evening, a lone visitor entered the pub, drawn by the warm glow against the chill of the city night. He took a seat at a corner table, noticing immediately the subtle movement of a chair beside him. As he settled in, the temperature in the room seemed to drop just a fraction, and he felt the faintest brush against his arm. He glanced around, scanning the dim corners and shadowed booths, yet the pub appeared empty beyond the few patrons scattered around. The whispers came then, soft, deliberate, calling his name as if acknowledging his presence. Another story comes from a group of friends dining late one night. The pub had emptied, the hum of conversation replaced by the quiet murmur of the last servers tidying tables. Chairs near the bar shifted slightly, rocking as though someone had just stood. One friend felt a gentle tug at the back of her coat, and another heard a name called clearly from the far corner of the room. No one was there, yet the sensations persisted. They described a feeling of history pressing softly against the present, of invisible patrons joining them quietly, watching, acknowledging, lingering. Some believe the presence is tied to the long history of the pub itself. The Spotted Pig has hosted countless guests over decades, each leaving subtle marks of energy, conversation, and laughter. Patrons and staff of past years may linger in corners, in booths, and along the bar, carried forward as faint traces of memory. Their whispers and gentle movements are reminders that the space remembers, that history does not vanish entirely but remains woven into the environment. Imagine yourself seated at a table, the low light casting long shadows across the polished wood floors. A chair beside you rocks slightly, and the air feels subtly cooler. You hear a soft murmur and catch the faintest edge of a whisper calling your name. The sensation is fleeting, yet unmistakable. You glance around the room, shadows stretching across walls and corners. The presence of history, a gentle awareness that someone or something shares the space with you. The Spotted Pig is more than a pub, it is a vessel for memory. The invisible movements of chairs, the soft brushing of air, the whispered voices all create a connection between present-day visitors and those who came before. It is an atmosphere of quiet intrigue, where attention to detail and presence brings the history of the space to life. Diners may feel acknowledged by patrons long gone, invited to experience the subtle intimacy of a room where time and memory intersect. Even as the pub continues to welcome new guests, these small occurrences persist. The rocking of chairs, the whispers calling names, the faint sensations along a shoulder or arm they remind visitors that the Spotted Pig carries centuries of stories. It is a place where past and present meet, where history is not confined to photographs or written records, but lives in the subtle movements, sounds, and sensations that only attentive guests may notice. So when you step into the Spotted Pig in the quiet hours, sit quietly, watch the shadows, and listen. You may feel a gentle nudge as a chair rocks back. Hear your name whispered from a dark corner. Or sense an invisible presence brushing past. The pub invites you to witness its living history. To share space with those who came before. And to remember that some presences never truly leave. The Spotted Pig remains alive with stories. Both spoken and silent. Waiting patiently in the corners and darkened booths. For those willing to notice. Sylvia S. sits proudly in the heart of Harlem, a restaurant and institution steeped in decades of soulful history. The air inside carries the aroma of seasoned meats, fresh vegetables, and decades of tradition baked into every corner. Patrons fill tables at all hours, drawn by food, music, and a sense of connection to a neighborhood that has shaped the soul of a city. Yet beyond the bustling energy of daytime, there exists another layer, one composed not of scent or taste, but of sound and memory that lingers long after the lights dim. Guests often speak of hearing singing from nowhere. It begins softly, a voice threading through the hum of conversations or drifting down empty hallways. The tone is rich and full, soulful yet heart-wrenching, as if someone else is performing on stage unseen. Notes rise and fall with perfect clarity, conveying emotion so raw it seems to reach directly into the chest of the listener. Patrons may pause mid-bite or glance toward the ceiling, expecting to see a musician. No one is there. The sound carries through walls, around corners, and across floors, as though the very building remembers the voices that once filled it. One visitor described the first encounter late at night. She had lingered after closing, assisting staff with cleaning and organizing. The restaurant was nearly empty, lights dimmed to a soft glow. Then, a single voice arose, sweet and melancholy, weaving melodies through the air. No instrument accompanied it. No performer appeared. Yet the room seemed alive with presence, as if the past had returned to perform for anyone willing to listen. Others have reported similar experiences. Guests describe the feeling of being watched, though nothing visible occupies the space. Some hear harmonies, distant yet distinct, forming intricate patterns across the room. A voice may sound close, as if standing behind the bar, then fade and reappear near the stage area. Occasionally, the sound is accompanied by the faint echo of applause or soft murmurs, layering the memory of performances over the present stillness. The energy within Sylvia S. carries weight. It is more than music, it is memory made audible. The restaurant has witnessed countless evenings filled with laughter, song, and conversation. Each note that surfaces seems to capture the essence of these moments, replayed not for amusement, but for recognition. Patrons who hear the singing describe a deep emotional resonance, an acknowledgement of the generations of artists, workers, and diners who once animated the space. Imagine standing in Sylvia's late at night, the lights dimmed low, tables cleared, the last traces of day's activity settling into silence. From somewhere above, a voice begins to rise. Soft at first, almost hesitant, then stronger, threading through the room with precision and feeling. The melody is soulful, bending around corners and over the bar, filling empty chairs with presence. Each note carries history, each phrase evokes the energy of decades past. You feel it in your chest, in your lungs, as if breathing in memory itself. The experience is rarely frightening. Instead, it evokes reflection, connection, and reverence. Guests speak of chills running along their arms, the hair at the back of the neck rising in response to sound, an awareness of being part of something larger than the present moment. The voice, although unseen, is attentive and deliberate. It honors the room, its architecture, its patrons, and the labor and artistry that have made Sylvia's a cultural touchstone. Staff members have recounted evenings when cleaning or preparing for the next day, hearing the same singing echo through hallways and kitchens. They described footsteps that seem to follow the cadence of the melody. Furniture creaks gently in rhythm with unseen performers. A sense that the building itself participates in the music. The effect is immersive, drawing listeners into the experience and heightening their awareness of history and presence. On some nights, the singing seems playful, filled with lighter energy, reminiscent of joyful gatherings and celebratory dinners. Other times, it is melancholic, slow and deliberate, invoking reflection on hardship and endurance. The variations carry emotion that transcends explanation, leaving listeners both moved and humbled. It is a dialogue across time, a connection between the living and the echoes of those who came before. Sylvia's is not only a restaurant but a vessel of memory. The soulful voices that emerge at night serve as reminders that energy lingers where passion, art, and labor once met. Patrons and staff alike are invited to witness this presence, to pause and listen, and to recognize that the legacy of the space extends beyond the tangible. Each note carries life, each melody a thread connecting past to present, unseen performers sharing their artistry with anyone open to hearing. Each note carries life, each melody a thread connecting past to present, unseen performers sharing their artistry with anyone open to hearing. As morning light fills the East Harlem streets, the voices fade, chairs are arranged, tables set. And the aroma of breakfast or lunch preparation takes over. Those who have stayed late or arrived early often carry the memory of the singing with them, its resonance lingering long after departure. The invisible performers remain a quiet testament to the history. A bridge between time, a reminder that soulful energy can persist. Echoing softly through walls and hearts, long after the final note has sounded. The 21 Club in Midtown stands as a testament to an era of secrecy and glamour, a historic speakeasy that has witnessed the passage of decades. Its walls are lined with dark wood, vintage photographs, and antique machines that once captured the attention of New York's elite. By day, the club is a vibrant reminder of the city's storied past, bustling with diners and the hum of conversation. But when the lights dim and the doors close, the space takes on a different character, one steeped in memory and shadow. Staff who remain after hours often report an eerie sensation. As if the building itself is alive with the presence of those who came before. The footsteps of unseen figures echo across the polished floors. Soft and deliberate, yet no one is present. A rhythmic reminder of history walking alongside the present. Antique machines, preserved from the club's earliest days, also behave in ways that defy explanation. Buttons press themselves with a gentle click, levers move slowly, and dials shift as though guided by invisible hands. Observers describe these movements as deliberate, precise, and purposeful, as if the former owners or long-departed staff are performing the same routines they carried out decades ago. The presence felt within the 21 Club is subtle yet undeniable. It is rarely aggressive, instead manifesting as a quiet awareness that something watches, moves, and maintains the rhythm of the building. Those who experience it often speak of a mixture of awe and unease, as if stepping into a space where time folds and past and present coexist. One night, a bartender finishing the last rounds of cleaning heard the unmistakable echo of steps ascending the staircase. He paused, expecting a late visitor, yet the halls were empty. The sound continued, steady and measured, stopping as suddenly as it had begun. Later, he noticed a faint movement near the antique machines, a lever pressed downward as if someone had completed a task without ever being seen. The 21 Club's history is woven into these occurrences. Established during the Prohibition era, it was a haven for those seeking secrecy and sophistication. The owners and staff of that time carried out their work with discretion and care. And some believe their presence lingers, bound to the very walls that sheltered countless clandestine gatherings. It is a place where memory and routine intertwine, leaving traces that manifest for those attuned to them. Regular visitors and employees have shared stories of fleeting figures glimpsed in mirrors and shadows that move along the periphery of vision. They appear dressed in period attire, often performing tasks familiar to the building's original operations. Their movements are deliberate, methodical, and unmistakably human. The experience leaves a strong impression, a quiet connection to those who shaped the club's identity. Even when the dining room is empty, the atmosphere is charged with the echoes of the past. Chairs shift slightly, glasses rattle softly. And the hum of energy seems to linger in the air. Staff describe the sensation as being observed and guided. A presence that maintains order and tradition long after the modern world has moved on. One evening, a late-night cleaning crew witnessed a chair moving across the floor on its own. At the same time, a series of faint, rhythmic footsteps could be heard in the distance, moving in a pattern consistent with someone walking from the main bar to the back rooms. When approached, there was no one to be seen, and yet the echoes persisted, fading only when the staff vacated the area. The antique machines hold particular fascination. Preserved meticulously over decades, they represent both history and craft. The spontaneous movements of buttons and levers suggest the careful attention of previous owners who once relied on these devices to operate efficiently. Observers describe the motions as precise, as if the unseen hands were completing tasks according to long-established routines, maintaining a sense of continuity across time. Despite these occurrences, the 21 Club remains elegant, welcoming, and vibrant during its operating hours. Patrons may dine unaware of the subtle, persistent presence that inhabits the space after hours. Yet for those who stay late or work behind the scenes, the club offers a rare glimpse into history alive, moving with intention, and maintaining the rituals of a bygone era. The echoes of footsteps, the moving levers, and the subtle impressions of unseen figures serve as reminders of the building's layered past. Each sound, each movement, is a reflection of decades of operation, of owners and staff committed to their craft. And of the unique energy that historic spaces can retain. It is a quiet testimony to the endurance of tradition, memory, and presence within a single location. At night, the 21 Club transforms. The bustle of the city fades outside, leaving the interior steeped in history and quiet mystery. Footsteps continue to echo, the buttons press themselves, and the energy of the former owners seems to linger in the atmosphere. The building becomes a living archive, a space where time is never fully linear and the past asserts itself in subtle but undeniable ways. Those who experience the 21 Club after hours often describe it as both haunting and beautiful. It is a place where history is tangible, where the labor and care of those who came before is preserved in motion, sound, and sensation. The presence of former owners is never intrusive, yet it is persistent, reminding all who witness it that some spaces carry their history like a living entity, quietly active and watching over the present. Union of elegance, mystery, and legacy, the 21 Club remains a symbol of Midtown's rich past. It is a place where the echoes of the past walk alongside the living, where the hum of antique machines and the rhythm of invisible footsteps tell a story that continues every night. For those who enter and stay, the experience is a bridge between eras, a rare glimpse into a world that existed long before the modern city, yet still moves quietly through the halls of this iconic speakeasy. Lily's Victorian establishment stands nestled on a quiet street, its ornate windows and carved wood FAA section Ade speaking of a bygone era. By day, sunlight illuminates the intricate details of the architecture, the tall, narrow doors, and the brass fixtures that have survived generations. Patrons enter for tea or dining, stepping over polished floors and admiring chandeliers that glimmer softly above. The air carries the faint aroma of wood polish and fresh flowers. Everything seems orderly, welcoming, and alive with the hum of conversation. Yet when evening falls and shadows stretch long across the halls, the atmosphere changes. The building takes on a presence that is impossible to ignore. Visitors speak of subtle sensations at first, a chill in the air that does not come from open windows or drafts. Then comes the movement, soft and deliberate. A shadowy figure glides through hallways, a woman in silhouette, her features indistinct yet undeniably human. She moves with grace, passing along corridors lined with vintage mirrors and framed photographs. Some guests catch only glimpses of her out of the corner of their eyes. When they look directly, she is gone, leaving a silence that feels heavier than the ordinary quiet of night. One evening, a guest arrived late, the establishment nearly empty. The lamplit dining area cast pools of warm light across polished tables. As she moved toward the lounge, she felt a sudden brush along her neck, light as a whisper. Her skin prickled. She sensed the faint, lingering aroma of perfume, floral and soft, filling the air around her. She turned, seeing nothing, yet the sensation persisted, subtle and intimate, as though someone had merely passed and remained close enough to be felt. Others recount similar experiences. Patrons report the cold brush of fingers against their arms or shoulders when no one stands nearby. Hallways creak under footsteps that do not belong to any visible person. Mirrors reflect movement where none occurs, shadows stretching across floors and walls before fading into corners. The atmosphere is never threatening, only quietly perceptive, as if the shadow woman moves through the building observing, aware, and present. A small group attending a private event. Described the feeling of being followed. They wandered through hallways, laughter echoing softly. When the air grew noticeably colder, their steps slowed instinctively. In the dim light of a staircase landing, they glimpsed her form, fleeting, dark, and elegant. The faint scent of her perfume brushing their senses. By the time they turned, the corridor was empty. Yet the memory lingered, sharp and vivid. Staff have shared stories of subtle disturbances. A chair might tilt slightly, or a door swing closed slowly without anyone touching it. Footsteps echo across the floor when no patrons remain. A light touch, a cold whisper against the hand, a shadow shifting near the stairwell. The experiences are gentle but unmistakable. A reminder that the establishment holds memories of those who once walked its halls and refuses to let them fade entirely. Lillia's Victorian establishment has stood for decades, its walls absorbing the lives of countless visitors and staff. Some believe the shadow woman was once a hostess, a lady of the house, or a patron who lingered too long in this world. Others think she embodies the energy of the building itself, maintaining presence over the space as a sentinel or silent observer. Her appearances are never violent. They are measured, careful, and hauntingly beautiful, a bridge between past and present. Visitors often describe a sense of intimacy with her presence. The cold brush of fingers is not aggressive. The perfume is faint yet lingering. And the movement feels purposeful. She seems to weave through the building without haste. passing through rooms as though retracing familiar steps. Mirrors may catch her silhouette briefly. Doorways frame her shadow only to reveal emptiness when directly observed. These fleeting moments create a lasting impression. An awareness that the past remains active and tangible. Even in the bustle of daytime, echoes of her linger. Light bends in corners differently. Air carries a faint floral note that seems out of place. Patrons may glance toward hallways expecting nothing and catch the sense of movement just at the edge of perception. Staff who have worked for years speak of her presence with quiet reverence, aware that the building houses more than the living and visible. By nightfall, the establishment transforms. The air cools, and silence dominates. Guests feel her presence most strongly then. Along hallways, near stairwells, and beside empty tables. Chairs may shift, glassware may resonate softly. And the delicate scent of perfume drifts on the air. Patrons who experience her describe awe, a gentle thrill, and a sense of connection to a history that remains tangible, alive, and patient. Lillia's Victorian establishment endures as a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary intersect. The shadow woman moves through its halls, invisible yet undeniable, her presence felt in cold fingers brushing necks. In fleeting aromas, and in the shifting play of light and shadow. Patrons leave carrying the memory of her silent passage, a subtle awareness that the building itself holds life beyond what can be seen. The establishment remains timeless, elegant, and alive with echoes of the past. Inviting all who enter to sense, to notice, and to remember that some presences never truly fade. Nobu in Tribeca stands as a world-renowned restaurant, known for its sleek interiors, polished surfaces, and precision in every dish. By day, the kitchen hums with activity, chefs moving in synchronized rhythm, knives flashing, flames rising in perfect arcs, and the smell of fresh ingredients filling the air. Yet after the last plate is served and the restaurant empties, the space changes. The kitchen becomes quiet, but not silent. Staff have reported unusual activity when the restaurant closes for the night. Knives rattle on counters without hands, clattering gently as if inspecting themselves. Ingredients shift slowly across surfaces, grains of rice rolling or slices of fish moving with purpose, as though someone unseen continues preparation. The presence is persistent but not threatening, as if a former chef remains devoted to the craft, unable to leave. The presence is persistent but not threatening, as if a former chef remains devoted to the craft, unable to leave. One evening, a sous chef staying late to finish prep noticed the knives tremble. The knives tremble on the magnetic strip above the counter. He froze, listening as the metallic clatter continued, rhythmic and deliberate. Rice scattered slowly across the cutting board, forming lines and patterns as if placed by invisible fingers. He stepped closer, heart quickening, but no one was present. The space felt alive, charged with energy and history. Another account comes from a line cook who arrived before dawn to begin mise en place. The kitchen was dark, the only light coming from under the hood and the faint glow of stainless steel. As she prepared to work, she noticed a stack of ingredients slowly shift, sliding into place as though arranged by hands unseen. Knives on the counter rattled lightly, a rhythm almost musical, and she felt the faintest pressure on her shoulder, a guiding touch that left no mark. She spoke quietly, asking if anyone else was there. The kitchen remained empty, yet the movement continued, deliberate and purposeful. The story traces back to a chef who once poured years of dedication into this kitchen. Some say he was never fully satisfied with his work, perfectionist to a fault, ensuring every ingredient, every knife, every plate met the highest standard. Even in death or absence, his devotion lingers. Imagine walking into the kitchen yourself late at night. The lights are dim, shadows stretching across counters and stainless steel surfaces. The hum of the ventilation system is the only sound, yet the air feels charged. You notice the knives begin to tremble slightly, a faint vibration across the counter. Rice or grains of seasoning roll forward, subtly forming lines and shapes. Your heart quickens as you feel the presence, steady and deliberate, as though unseen hands are at work just as they were long ago. The atmosphere is intense but not threatening. The movements are deliberate, patient, and meticulous. Ingredients shift slowly, knives clatter gently, and faint pressures brush against your arms or back. The kitchen seems to breathe in rhythm with this unseen presence, alive with the energy of someone devoted to the craft. It is a reminder that passion and dedication leave traces that linger far beyond the life of the individual. Staff described the experience as both unsettling and awe-inspiring. No harm is done, but the presence is undeniable. The knives, ingredients, and air itself carry memory, a subtle ghost of dedication, skill, and discipline. To witness this is to step into the remnants of a life devoted to culinary perfection, to feel the echo of a chef's hands adjusting and preparing even in absence. The kitchen is a space where the past persists, leaving traces in the smallest movements. Ingredients shift. Reminds you that passion can linger. The energy in the room carries history. A silent testament to the work and dedication once poured into every plate. So if you ever find yourself alone in the kitchen late at Nobu, notice the subtle movements, the careful arrangement of ingredients, and the gentle rattle of knives. Listen for the faint rhythm in the air, the echo of hands moving with purpose, and the gentle rattle of knives. It is a space where the dedication of a former chef continues, alive in motion, intent, and presence. Alive in motion, intent, and presence, quietly reminding anyone who enters that mastery leaves traces that endure far beyond the life of those who achieve it. Bemelmana's bar sits quietly on the Upper East Side, tucked into the corner of a historic building where polished wood, brass fixtures, and amber lighting create an atmosphere both warm and intimate. By day, patrons enjoy cocktails and conversation, laughter weaving through the small space. But when midnight falls, the bar transforms, the energy shifting as if the walls themselves remember every note ever played, every toast ever made, every footstep that has echoed across the wooden floors. Guests and staff report that at midnight, a ghostly pianist appears. The sound begins softly, almost hesitant, the first notes spilling across the room in delicate arcs. The piano, though visible, seems played by no one. Fingers move along keys, producing melodies that range from lively jazz to slow, reflective ballads. The tone is rich, resonant, and precise, echoing through the space as though the past and present converge. Patrons often pause, mid-conversation or sip, ears attuned to a sound they cannot see being produced. The effect is heightened by movement in the room. Some describe the sensation of invisible feet brushing past them, tracing steps around the bar in patterns reminiscent of dances long forgotten. Blending past elegance with present awareness. One bartender recounted the first time he stayed late after closing. The lights were dimmed low, the final guest departed, and silence filled the bar. A single note, sharp and clear, rose from the piano. He approached, expecting to see a performer, yet no one was present. The music continued, flowing effortlessly, filling every corner of the room. As he listened, he felt subtle pressure on his shoulders, gentle as a dance partner guiding him across the floor. When he stepped back, the sensation vanished, leaving only music and the faint smell of old wood and polish. Visitors have described the experience similarly. Guests seated near the piano hear notes linger longer than natural acoustics would allow. Chairs rock slightly as though someone invisible adjusts them to align with rhythms. Glasses clink softly without touch, responding to melodies played in invisible hands. The effect is immersive, creating the sensation that the room has retained memory, performing for anyone attuned to its presence. The ghostly pianist does not intimidate. The music is never harsh or abrupt. It is deliberate, refined, and often joyful. Conjure images of past gatherings filled with laughter, conversation, and dance. Patrons report feelings of nostalgia, even if they have never visited the bar before. The melodies seem to carry emotional weight. Stories embedded in every note, bridging time and connecting listeners to generations of those who have frequented the space. Imagine standing near the piano at midnight. The bar is empty, dim amber light reflecting off polished wood. Notes rise and fall, filling the air, rich and fluid. Chairs shift slightly, a table tilts just enough to suggest movement. Your eyes scan the room, yet no one is visible. The music continues, drawing your attention to patterns in shadows and the gentle swaying of objects. Sometimes, the melodies become playful. Jazz riffs cascade across the room, rhythms compelling the imagination to envision dancers twirling through the space. Other times, the music slows, soft and lingering, reflective and intimate. Guests describe goosebumps rising, a chill that is both unsettling and comforting, a reminder that the room carries life beyond the present, alive in memory and sound. Staff also report subtle signs that accompany the music. Glassware vibrates in harmony with certain notes. Footsteps echo along floors that should be still. And the piano itself seems to respond to the presence of listeners. The experience is immersive but not threatening. Those who witness it often feel honored to be present, as if they are part of a continuing performance, bridging past and present with every chord. By early morning, the room returns to ordinary rhythm. Sunlight filters through windows, the air warms, and the sounds of city life replace music. Yet those who lingered through midnight carry the memory with them, the ghostly pianist, the slight movements of furniture, the invisible crowd dancing, and the melodies that spoke across decades. Bemelmana's bar remains a testament to history alive in space and sound. It is more than wood, brass, and polished floors. It is a vessel for memory, performance, and subtle presence. Every midnight, the pianist appears, invisible yet audible, inviting anyone who listens to witness the continuity of time, the persistence of music, and the quiet joy of a bar that remembers its guests long after they have left. The Little Owl sits quietly on a narrow street in Greenwich Village, a small yet renowned restaurant known for its charm and intimate atmosphere. Its brick FAA section ade and softly glowing windows welcome diners from near and far, offering a sense of warmth and comfort in the heart of the city. By day, the restaurant hums with conversation, the clinking of cutlery, and the aroma of carefully prepared dishes. But when night falls, the space takes on a different rhythm, one touched by mystery and quiet echoes of the past. As the evening deepens and the last patrons linger over their meals, faint laughter sometimes drifts through the dining room. It is delicate, almost imperceptible at first, a sound that seems to rise from nowhere and fade just as quickly. Staff and visitors alike have described the sensation as if the restaurant itself remembers past diners, their conversations and joy lingering like a shadow woven into the air. Many have experienced a peculiar presence in the corner of the room. A woman, dressed in timeless attire, is said to appear at a small table, her expression calm and serene. She smiles at those around her, observing quietly as if acknowledging their presence. Diners often report feeling a brief sense of connection, as though the figure is entirely aware of them, yet she remains untouched by the physical world. When approached, the woman vanishes without a trace, leaving only an empty table. Those who have seen her speak of a fleeting beauty and a gentle energy, a presence that is both comforting and inexplicably poignant. It is as if she carries the memory of many evenings spent in the restaurant. A figure suspended between past and present. Staff members describe an atmosphere that changes subtly when the dining room is nearly empty. Shadows seem to lengthen along the walls, and the air carries an almost tangible stillness. The faint laughter becomes more pronounced. accompanied at times by the sound of chairs scraping lightly against the floor, or the soft movement of dishes. These occurrences are never frightening, but they create a deep sense of connection to the history of the space and the people who have passed through it. One evening, a waiter remained after closing to finish cleaning. As he wiped down tables and arranged chairs, he noticed a figure seated at the corner, her presence calm and deliberate. She smiled briefly, acknowledging him without words. When he stepped closer, she was gone. Yet the air seemed warmer, as if her fleeting presence had left a quiet imprint on the room. The waiter recalled the event for weeks, convinced he had witnessed something beyond ordinary explanation. Regular diners have shared similar experiences. Conversations are occasionally interrupted by the sensation of being observed, though no one is present. A chair may rock slightly, or the laughter of unseen company may echo softly across the room. These subtle signs give the restaurant a depth and character that extends far beyond its culinary reputation, hinting at stories and lives intertwined with the space itself. Hinting at stories and lives intertwined with the space itself. The little owl's intimate size contributes to the feeling of connection between the present and the past. Every table, every corner, and every light fixture seems to hold a memory, a trace of moments that have passed through the room. The laughter, the soft gestures, and the smile of the mysterious woman all serve as reminders that the space has a life beyond the immediate, carrying echoes of history in a way that is quietly tangible. Guests who notice these phenomena often describe a mixture of curiosity and serenity. There is no fear, only a gentle awareness that the restaurant holds more than can be seen. The figure in the corner is not a presence of disturbance but of memory. A subtle acknowledgement of the countless evenings spent by diners over the decades. It is as if the restaurant itself has become a bridge between moments, connecting those who visit with the lingering energy of those who came before. Over time, the stories surrounding the Little Owl have become part of its identity. Patrons and staff alike recount tales of brief glimpses and soft laughter, each encounter adding to the quiet tapestry of mystery that envelopes the space, suggesting that she is not a fleeting trick of light or imagination, but rather a persistent echo of the restaurant's history. Even on the busiest nights, the feeling of being watched or accompanied is subtle, a whisper beneath the hum of conversation and clatter of dishes. The restaurant becomes a living repository of memories, where every sound, movement, and reflection hints at the invisible lives that have occupied the room. It is a space where time folds gently, and the past and present coexist in quiet harmony. The Little Owl is more than a dining establishment. It is a place where history is palpable, where stories linger in corners and in the faint echoes of laughter. Where stories linger in corners and in the faint echoes of laughter. Where those who have experienced them leave traces that persist. Every evening, as lights dim and the city grows still, the restaurant becomes a vessel for these moments, connecting guests to a continuum of shared human experience. Connecting guests to a continuum of shared human experience. For those who notice, the Little Owl offers more than its celebrated cuisine. It provides an encounter with the intangible, an invitation to witness the quiet beauty of memory preserved in the form of a fleeting presence. The faint laughter, the smiles, and the invisible attentions combine to create an atmosphere that is both comforting and extraordinary. A testament to the layers of life that dwell within its walls. As the night deepens, the mysterious figure may appear once more, her smile welcoming, her presence brief. Diners and staff are left with the impression that even in a bustling city, some moments are suspended, carried forward by spaces that remember, by laughter that echoes, And by a gentle awareness that the past remains quietly present. In the heart of Greenwich Village. And so, our culinary journey through New York's haunted restaurants ends. Or perhaps the ghosts still linger behind the counters, among the chairs, and in the kitchens. 20 establishments where the past refuses to leave, where whispers float across empty rooms. And where diners may never be truly alone. If you ever step into a historic New York restaurant at night, remember, the food may be fresh, but the company might not be entirely living. Thank you for joining me tonight. May your nights be safe, your meals warm, and your surroundings free from unseen hands. Before you go, tell me in the comments. Which haunted restaurant terrified you the most? And would you dare sit alone after dark for a full meal? Sleep well, dear listener. And beware of the shadows between the tables.